Hi, Casey.
Hi, Adebisi. How are you?
I'm very good. Thank you so much for joining us here on the First Choice Summit.
Good. I'm so excited to be here. Thank you for inviting me.
My pleasure. Now, getting into the topic that we're discussing, a resume. Would you say writing your resume is synonymous with writing your autobiography?
I would say yes. It's the same thing as your autobiography, because an autobiography means that you sat down and you want to tell your story. You want to tell people who you are, what you're about, what's important to you. And when you write your resume, that's exactly what you get to do. Whoever reads it gets to see what's important to you, what makes you unique, and what makes you special. So it's exactly like an autobiography.
Awesome. I've come to find many students are not involved in extracurricular activities for one reason or another. I believe these activities help shape one's personality, one's interests, their growth, and honestly, for students, I'll add that it can honestly give them scholarships for college and for school for the next level. It even builds up their story, when they're writing their essays for those college essays that they create and they write for the college application process. Why do you think so many students miss out on being involved in such activities in a timely manner?
I think it's so easy for us to be focused on right now. So we're thinking about what's important to us today. That's our technology, that's our social media, that's our friends right here. And even as people who have already passed that time in life, it's really easy for us to just be focused on what pleases me today, what's enjoyable to me today, instead of focusing on the future or instead of focusing on what's next. So a good example of this is eating healthy. Right? So today, I don't want to cook. I want to eat out all the time, and not just eat out salads. I want fries. I want burgers. I want all that stuff that is good in moderation. But in that example, if I did that and I didn't work out and I lived a sedentary lifestyle, I'm thinking about what's important to me today, not my health in the future. So just as students need to think about, hey, I know I don't necessarily want to be gone all the time. I want to still have fun with my friends, but there still has to be balance. There still needs to be something that I can talk to or speak to or experience that's outside of the classroom. So I think it's just as simple as we're not thinking about the future, which is fine, but we just have to have mentors and coaches and parents to say, okay, bring it back. Bring it back. Yes, we're enjoying the moment, but we also need to think about how today's actions impact the future.
I completely agree with you. I think that it's so important for students to be involved in extracurricular activities because it actually shapes their mindset, and it can help shape what they want to study when they get to college, what they want to be when they grow up, what they want to do outside of the classroom. And I bring up extracurricular activities because it's what makes up a student's resume. It's what makes up their autobiography, especially at such a young age in life. When do you think that it's a wise time for students to start creating their autobiography or their resume so that they can have a document of what they've done?
I'm a bit extreme, and I think that it's never too early to be able to speak about your abilities and your skills and your interests. But in real life, I think even ninth grade or 10th grade is a great opportunity to really sit down and say, what have I accomplished? What do I like? What do I bring to the table? And that gives you time. It gives you time to experience different things, try out different formats of resumes, because you really have nothing to lose. So if you make a resume even in middle school, you can have it, and it's a skill, right? It's a skill to be able to write effectively and write clearly about what you offer and what you bring to the table. So, as early as middle school, but I think definitely the end of ninth grade, early 10th grade is a perfect opportunity because you're also going to be eligible to start working and things like that. So it's important to be able to have a piece of paper that tells your story succinctly.
Right. Students do start working around the age of 14, 15, from the sophomore year age. So having a resume, even for applying for a summer job, it's key, not only for school, but just for the next stage of life. You're moving into young adulthood.
Absolutely.
When did you create your first resume?
I created mine in ninth grade, and I was very nervous about it because I said, oh my gosh, what do I put on here? I've never had a job. But then I thought about it and I said, hey, I was involved in Girl Scouts. I did babysit, and I did get some awards in middle school. So, hey, that's enough for me. And I started having a resume for each year or each time something changed. And I can go back and look at resumes and see what I was doing at that time in life, which is really cool.
That's awesome. And many people wouldn't even think that babysitting is an activity that you can put on, your resume. But the reality of it is that babysitting gives you good discipline skills. It gives you good time management. You're able to oversee people. Yes, they may be young people, but at the same time, that takes a lot of patience. So that's a skill that can be documented on a resume.
Absolutely. And that's the thing about resumes. It's sometimes we underestimate what we've done and what we've accomplished,
Right.
But even things like Girl Scouts and Boy Scouts and different organizations that you were in as a younger child really impact, and it could have such an impact on what you tell people in interviews and what you put on your resume as well. Because I've spoken about Girl Scouts long after I had, several jobs, and people say, wow, I can really relate to selling cookies.
That is hilarious. Trust me, those Girl Scouts know what they're doing, because every year, even though I tell myself I'm not buying cookies, I always get Girl Scout cookies every year without fail.
Absolutely. I'm the same way. I look forward to it.
I don't know if anybody does it. Do you think there is a certain number of activities a student should be involved in to write their resume?
I think it's easy for people to think the more the merrier, or the more stuff you have on there, the more qualified you are. But I think it's more important that you think of the quality of what's on your resume, or the quality of activities. So maybe you're only involved in one activity, but maybe you have leadership roles, maybe you've gotten recognition in that, maybe you've been able to positively impact that organization in multiple ways. So I think it's important to think about the quality and less about the quantity, because you want to be involved in things that are going to positively impact your future and things that you enjoy today. So I hate to hear when students just say, oh, I'm just doing this as a resume builder. Like, no, you should enjoy it. If you have to spend your time on it, you should find something that you love and something that you could speak about passionately.
I agree. That's great. So in conclusion, what are some tips for a student to tell their story through their resume? Is there a specific formula they should follow?
I don't think there's a certain formula that you should follow, because depending on what path you take and where you go, your resume could look different, even across industries. If you're going in a more creative space, your resume could be a video. Your resume could be something with graphics on it. Or if you're going into a more corporate, more structured place, then probably not a lot of color, very structured, very streamlined. So I think it's important to think about where you want to go, even as far as your college experience goes. And there's no one formula for a resume. There's no one way to do it. But the important thing is that you have truthful, accurate, but compelling information on there. And so thinking about creative ways to tell people what you do and what you're about and how you stand out. So I think of Legally Blonde, and it's a silly movie, funny movie. But when everybody's applying to Harvard Law School, you have these very, serious people that are applying in the movie, but yet and still you have Elle that has her resume on pink stationery that's scented, and she sends in this video of her at a pool. And it's funny, but there are some aspects that are true in it, and that you should be yourself, and people should get your personality from a piece of paper. So as long as you're yourself and you have mentors and coaches and people around you to give you feedback on your resume, then that's the perfect formula, in my opinion.
Absolutely love that last piece of advice. Be yourself on your resume, because you're telling your story.
Absolutely.
That's awesome. Thank you so much, Casey, for your wonderful advice.
You are so welcome. I enjoyed it.
The video and the pink scented paper. Mine might be orange, because I love orange, can you tell? But I love that so much. You're awesome. Have a great day.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Have a good day.
Bye.